Welcome everyone to Mobile Rolling. We're back here at the House of Chow restaurant on Hutt Street, bringing you another podcast for the week. We're joined by Lui Trotta. We'll be talking to Lui very shortly about his career in harness racing right after this. We met a bloke, from my understanding, called Ray August, who was a very successful trainer back in the day. Tell us about his influence on you getting into the sport involved as a trainer.
Well, after being introduced to the harness racing, I moved to Murray Bridge.
Yep.
When I got married a year after, I bought a poultry farm at Murray Bridge. And going to Murray Bridge, of course, that's where Ray August was based. And a lot of my friends that had horses through the industry said, "Oh, look, you need a hobby, Louis," you know. And I thought, well, I got involved with a horse with Ray August, and that horse won numerous races. I was able to go to Moonee Valley and watch him race.
Yep.
And so that was it. You know, that's what happens. I used to go there because I had my own property, so I was able to go there and clean the stalls, do the waters. And then one day old Ray said, "Why don't you have a drive?"
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. He sat me in the cart with Sword Dancer and he gave me a horse to lead, which was a Rogue, a New Zealand horse called Hanover Point.
Yep.
And he said, "Now take him down the road," which is Old Roggy Gully Road. There's a little oval we used to work our horses in, and jog them for an hour. And then he said, "Oh, by the way, don't let this horse get alongside you because he'll kick you out the cart." So there was no introduction. I've never sat behind a horse before.
Yep.
And I was sat there for an hour, absolutely crapping myself. And I kept pulling this horse back so he wouldn't get past me. But I got him home. And then my first fast drive, I couldn't wait after that to get back on a horse.
Yep.
Was on Sword Dancer, and he grabbed the bit and I couldn't pull him up, and old Ray just laughed, and that was what it was. So that was the introduction.
They got you hooked. Now, Ray obviously was very influential in that first part of your career. Tell us some of the most important things you learned in your early days involved in the sport.
Ray was a very, very clever man.
Yep.
You know, he come from a real good background. His dad was a top trainer. He came out with his dad from New Zealand. And, I used to be in awe, like he was so relaxed.
Yep.
Nothing worried Ray. We had a great time. I used to always drive the vehicle and tow all the horses when I got involved because I was used to towing trailers when I used to be involved in the building game. So I used to tow all the trailers with scaffolding and that.
Yep.
And that was a part of it. He was good for him because he could just relax. I'd drive. And, I just thought it was fantastic. And one day he said, "What about getting your license?" And I sort of thought to myself, well, hey, I thought you had to be born in the industry, Websters, Justices. I'd never even ridden a horse or touched a horse until I was 23.
Yeah.
So he said, "No, you're not scared of nothing. You'll be all right." And that's how I got my driver's license.
So your first race drive, what were some of the emotions going through your head that day?
There were some big emotions my first race drive. We went to Kapunda with a little horse I'd bought.
Yep.
Because when I got my license, I thought if I'm going to drive and learn, I don't want to drive other people's horses. If it's my own horse, if I make a mistake, I'm going to learn. So I bought a little horse, Loxley Eden, for $600. And I gave up smoking. I thought because I had a young girl coming along, if I gave up smoking, because I used to smoke a fair bit when I was young, it'd give me $42 a week. And them days might have been a lot of money, but that paid for that horse. So that was a good thing for me to give up smoking. So he was the first horse. I drove him at Kapunda. Ray used to train it for me until I got my trainer's license.
Yep.
And he was actually the first horse I ever drove. And I won my first race at Murray Bridge. My wife was pregnant. She come running down the stairs. I thought she was going to kill herself when I won.
Yeah.
But the horse also raced at Globe Derby on Saturday night, driven by Jeffrey Webster, and ran 7th. And I come out and beat 1-2 on favourite Ross Sugars on the Sunday at Murray Bridge.
Yep.
So everybody thinks I don't like harness racing. Country running racing is totally wrong.
Yeah.
I loved it. But this is what it's all about. Yeah, that was my first winner, Murray Bridge, about 44 years ago.
What were some of the favourite tracks you visited over your time in the early days involved in the sport? You mentioned Murray Bridge, but what were some of the other tracks you really liked visiting?
I used to love going to Victor Harbour, Strathalbyn. I won a lot of races at Strath. I won races at Victor Harbour. I think I won my second ever race with a horse I bought for $200 with my father-in-law, my wife, Marquee Boy from a standing start. So I've had good memories. I went to Kadina with a horse when I come back from Murray Bridge and moved back to Adelaide.
Mhm.
I went up there from a standing start. I ran third with her. And so, I've driven Port Pirie. I've never been to Port Augusta because they closed it down, but I used to love going to the, Victor Harbour, Strath, picnic meetings. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
My whole family used to come along. I think one time Jimmy Hurley and I bought Sacred Heart down the Strath.
Yep.
And they put a $6,500 race on, and I think they reckon that there was 100 people there, and I had about 68 of them. Because
Yeah.
my whole family come from Adelaide, from Murray Bridge.
To watch.
So it was a good day. So used to love it. Absolutely love it.
Awesome. Now, you've had multiple horses you've trained over the years. Which horse stands out as one of your favourites?
As far as horses that I've actually, the best horse I ever bought would have been Class Prevails.
Yep.
And I bought him for Paces Australia, and everybody, when I got back to Adelaide, said, "Oh, you're mad. You bought a horse for Lou Austin." Lou Austin was a great man with San Simeon. And we went there, and I was privileged that Kevin Brook picked him up at 4 o'clock in the morning. We drove to Lara, where Lou Austin had his stables, and we went to buy this little chestnut 3-year-old that had won at Ballarat just the week before.
Yep.
And I paid good money for him them days because I was buying and selling horses to Western Australia. And so, he would have been, if he had 4 good legs. He raced in the South Australian Derby, which my dream is to win a South Australian Derby. I haven't been able to do it. He ran second in the St. Ledger, third in the Guineas, running ridiculous time. They went a 43.7 lead time.
Oh, wow.
And Graham Silk said, "Your horse should have dropped dead." And he actually run third. So these are but I've had a lot of real nice horses, and they were all horses I bought for $4,000 and $3,000 from Victoria. But I paid $12,000 for Class Prevails. He was a half brother getting it right, who was a stallion.
Yep.
And it was just a privilege. But then through buying that horse, and I won 10 races with him, Lou Austin actually, when he retired and went to be a steward in Western Australia, actually sent me 2 or 3 horses from his owners.
Yeah.
Because he said to me, you dot the I's and cross the T's. And I was very proud of that from a man like Lou Austin. So,
fantastic. You spent a lot of time in the car on race day as a driver, of course. What memory sticks out from a driving perspective for you?
Look, I mean, it's unfortunate now that I've given up driving because I decided I don't want to put my wife through the grief of me getting in trouble.
Yeah.
So, but, driving Class Prevails, driving Tonto Toronto, Merlot, winning the TAB graduation with Into the Storm for some real loyal owners.
Yeah.
That was a real high for me, like to be able to do that with the horses that other trainers said they were no good. So, I've never had a top horse, but I've had, unfortunately, when I gave up driving, I bought a horse called American Muscle, who I sent to Melbourne, and he ended up winning 17 in Melbourne.
Yeah.
The 4 and 5-year-old championship, the Rising Star heat and final with Ross Sugars.
Yep.
So, and I had his full brother, which I never got to drive.
Yep.
Because as a 3-year-old, he had 7 starts for 3 wins and 4 seconds, and never raced again. But I spent 2 years trying to get that horse right. He had a tendon problem, and whatever I did, as soon as I got him ready, I trialled him, he went good. So he broke my heart. It's like having a Ferrari in the shed and I could never drive it. So that was it,
Your race colours, where do they originate from?
When I started in Murray Bridge, there was Peter Ruggiero, where we used to, where Ray used to rent the stables, and unfortunately he got cancer, and he gave me his colours, but they were the same colours, but with different. They were pink and white and that. So, and then later on, I changed the same colours. I drove winners with those colours, but then I changed them to my look. I'm born in Italy.
Yeah.
I love Australia, absolutely love Australia, but I'm very passionate about my culture.
Yeah.
So those colours mean something to me. That's the Italian flag.
Yeah. Awesome. Now you spent some. You picked up a few yearlings at a yearling sale this year. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, I've always been buying horses from the yearling sales over the years. I always have, and and I've recently done reasonably well with them. American Muscle come out of the yearling sales. I bought Sacred Heart as a full brother directly with a breeder because I love that horse. So I've got his half sister, and I'm lucky enough to have a yearling now, which is a very nice horse out of American Diva. So I sort of bought 3 of that family, and I think they've got a lot to offer. So, over the years, I've gone there, bought the top colts. Yep. And they've won races. But this year, I thought, with the $100,000 race in South Australia, and I spoke to some, I've brought some new owners in. My wife's cousin, who runs the mines up at Whyalla, he come in and bought a share. I've got a good friend of mine that used to train horses in Victoria that had gallopers horses. He's come in and automatically put his hand up. So I was pretty lucky. Yeah.
Half, 20 and a half, 20 and a half. Look at her walk. She's sensible. You'd like to load her up on the float this afternoon, wouldn't you? At 20 and a half. She'd be well read. Half the battle there. And she's an outstanding type. At 20 and a half then. 20 and a half. We sell it at 20 and a half on Lance's call at 20 and a half thousand. Be quick for the sake of $500. If we're at 20, you had to be in at 21. At 20 and a half then, it comes down. Be quick at 20 and a half thousand. Sold, Lance.
Some of the drivers you use today, you have often put on Corey Johnson and Bragg Scafigi. Tell us a little bit more about giving young drivers an opportunity. You've always been very passionate about that.
Well, back in the day, I mean, Luke O'Neill, I gave him his first ever winning drive on a horse called Splash Some Cash, and I think he won a couple for me.
Yep.
Aron Bang actually won his second race on one of my horses on a Monday at Globe Derby. And look, I've given a lot of Mark Champion. I've given him drives. I love the underdog. I love young kids getting ahead, so I don't mind putting them on.
Yeah.
Like Brett Webster. He won a lot of races for me. When I used to get suspended or I was hurt, Brett would drive on and we'd be able to back him, and he'd just do what I told him and we'd win. So that gave me a lot of pleasure to see that.
How many horses do you have in your stable at the moment?
I've got 4 horses at the moment.
So you've got the Sparrowhawk,
Yes.
Aquaflight, Bella Sophia, and
I've got a yearling by Sunshine Beach.
Fantastic. Your current patch of horses, you've got the Sparrowhawk, who won a race on Saturday night. You must have been very pleased to see him get up.
Meters to go, right behind it, Don't Tell William. Regal Scribe really needs to lift now. 150 to go, the Sparrowhawk clear. Regal Scribe, Don't Tell William down to the inside. The Sparrowhawk, they put plenty on. It led by about 1.5 meters. They're going to get plenty back, the putters, and the Sparrowhawk wins. Good win. Second, Don't Tell William. Regal Scribe third.
I was very pleased because the week before we declared him and he actually let me down. So I was very happy that we could butter up again and actually get it done. Yeah.
Tell us about how you're going.
Well, I bought a horse of Aussie Missard when I was at Brian Mittens for $500 many years ago. And I think I ended up winning about 6 races with him, and then I sold him on. So one day, Aussie come to race a few horses at Globe Derby, and I caught up with him again, and we had a chat. I said I was back training, and he said, I'll send you a horse. And he did. He sent me little Robbie Zouv.
Yeah.
And that was my, I've had another trotter many years ago, but that was the first trotter I ever really trained. And when I got him, he was just a beautiful little horse, but had a few problems. He had one for 15 months, and I was very fortunate that he's got a lot of ability.
Yeah.
And I actually won a Saturday night race with him, and I won off of 60 metres, which trotting people, I think Jeff Proctor came up to me one day, shook my hand. He said, not many people can win off of 60 over 2,230 at Globe Derby. So I was very proud of that, and I was very unfortunate that I actually rang Aussie and I said, I don't want to train this horse anymore because I don't want to take your money, right? There's no races for a fast class trotter. That's the problem with South Australia. So I suggested that his sister could take the horse, and Gator come along and picked it up the very next day. And so, but he's been sitting, he hasn't raced for a month.
Yeah.
And I will not have a horse sitting in my stable. I like to race him once or twice a week, race consistently. And he was a little horse that I had him eating so well that if you don't race him, I'd break him down on the training track for nothing. So that's what happens. And then through that, Aussie, being a great man, him and his wife, they said, we're going to buy you one. And I had a look at his form and I liked the horse. And that's how I got the Sparrowhawk.
Well, you came back to harness racing this season as a trainer. How are you enjoying your time back in the industry?
Look, a lot of people look at me. I don't enjoy it because when you're a tradesman, I'm a tradesman. I can go and get paid $50 a week for laying bricks. But if it's wet, I won't do it. If it's too hot, I won't do it.
Yeah.
But I'm out there training horses in the mud on a wet day, and I get paid like a checkout girl at Woolworths.
Yeah.
Right? If I earn $5 an hour for the time I spend with my horses and the money I spend on it.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody in South Australia is going through. So I think people aren't listening to the plight of the participants who are the industry on what we need to keep. They want to get horses. You're never going to get horses when you're buying your own money.
Yeah.
That's the big problem.
Yeah. So what are some of the goals for you heading down the track as a trainer and as a participant in this sport?
the goals for me is to see South Australia be great again.
Yeah.
Right. Let's be face it. I mean, I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly in harness racing. You know, when I first come into it, I thought, how good, that's why I got involved. How good is this sport? You meet beautiful people, fantastic people, but then the game sours you when you don't achieve what you should be achieving.
Yeah.
So, and I'd like to see something put in place in South Australia where we can actually go forward.
Yeah.
You know, I've been to forums, I've been on committees, on delegations to try and, nobody listens.
Yeah.
You go there, and then all of a sudden, we were here one night with a group of people discussing about the handicapping in South Australia many years ago.
Yeah.
And nothing ever happened. You know, this is what's wrong with South Australia, that you put something forward. They won't listen to people who have got something genuine to offer. Like I said, I've been around this game for 47 years. A lot of people don't know that. I've been in and out of the game because I walk away, but I love the game so much. I love the challenge of getting a horse right.
Yeah.
And I love my owners
And
enjoying the moment. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. Fantastic, Louis. We're very passionate, obviously, and that comes out. And I really always have respected your passion for the game. And I really wish you the best of luck with all your horses over the next couple of months. And hopefully we can see some more success on the track.
No, that's fine. That'll be good. So now, can we talk a bit about, you know, the handicapping system that we got at the moment and where the industry can go? Or?
Yeah, would you like, if you like to mention that?
I would like to mention a few things for a start. I mean, you know, we're talking about how we can rejuvenate South Australia, attract more horses, right?
Yeah.
First of all, the national handicapping system, which I heard that they're going to rejig by the 1st of July, but I went to pick up a new schedule for July.
Yeah.
And looking at that, there's nothing changed. So where's the changes? I mean, it's not working. Last night, I raced a horse that has won 8 races. It's a genuine C1 R2.
Yep.
And I had to take horses on. And the horse that beat me has won 14 races. Okay?
Yep.
He's a 7-year-old. And he comes here on less points than what I inherited, a C1, a genuine C1 when I got this horse.
Yep.
So in world, you never ever put a heavyweight boxer with a lightweight in a ring.
Yeah.
You don't put a college footballer to play AFL football.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. So this is what we're having to contend with. And that's why we got the same pool of horses going around week in, week out. Nothing changes. You keep bumping the same horses.
Yep.
Horses that have had 200 starts and won 150,000.
Yep.
And yet you got a genuine little horse that's learning its trade. You got to take them on. I don't mind taking them on. I'll take anybody on. That's one thing with me.
Yeah.
They got to beat me.
Yeah.
That's the only problem with me. I'm very strong on that. But the system is not working.
Yeah.
It's not working at all.
Yeah.
And they've been told many times, everybody's screaming about it, where's the changes? And that's why we don't go anywhere. And also the stake money we raise for in South Australia. I had a look at the program today. Every morning I look at the paper. I get up at 4:30 in the morning and go through the paper. Victoria's got 2 meetings. 4 $8,000 races, 4 $7,000 races, some $12,000 races.
Yeah.
It's all well and good to say you only lose 2 points, but you try and win one of those races where you're taking on these heavyweights.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It'd be good if it was easy, but it's not. So these are some of the things. The other thing I want to talk about is, you know, we haven't heard, and you've asked on the morning show, plan for the future of harness racing in South Australia. Where are these people ever going to come up with something?
Yeah.
They say they're talking to committees and they're talking to, who are they?
Yeah.
Botra doesn't know who they are.
Yeah.
We certainly don't know who they are. We've put some things forward, right, to the board, or to the people who are running it. Do they ever consult people that actually have lived this game and are passionate about it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like George Fiarchi to come and tell me who he's consulting. I'd like to debate George Fiarchi on radio.
Yeah.
I would love to. Because then I would like George Fiarchi and the board to come out to anybody's stable and spend a day to see what a harness racing trainer and driver sacrifices. To go there on a wet night at Globe Derby, right, and stand around in the mud and race for the sort of money we're racing for. Every horse in Australia still had the COVID-19.
Yeah.
But I see they're still racing for reasonable money.
Yeah.
Today, Murray Bridge, right? Gallops.
Yeah.
$18,000 races. Now, David Tootle, I've just signed him up as a stable hand. He come back one day. He had 4 rides at Gawler.
Yeah.
4 losers, 1 winner. His pay packet was $1,200.
Yeah.
How many Danny Hill or Wayne Hill or anybody else at Globe Derby, they can drive 3 or 4 winners, I bet they wouldn't even get near $1,200.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. And they're risking their life. So this is what's got to be addressed in South Australia.
Yeah.
And it's got to be quickly because it ain't happening.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of participants would agree with you on those matters, but you know, it's just been some of the unfortunate problems that we've had to face as an industry over the last couple of years, and hopefully those things can be fixed. So, Lui, as I said, I respect your passion and I respect your, you know, your being on the front foot and being out there. So well done. Keep up the good work with your horses. Thank you for coming on today. It's been a pleasure. And as I said, good luck at the races. Thank you for joining us on Mobile Rolling today, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back next week with another podcast. It's been fantastic to have your company. And make sure you visit our Facebook page, our YouTube, and all of our platforms, and of course our website as well, mobilerolling.net, to keep up to date with everything happening with this service. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you next week.